everyone, this is Anna from Savvy Cat Realty, and today I'm here to talk to you about the city of Lagos. Lagos is probably one of my favorite cities in the Algarve, but before we go there, and for those of you who don't know, Savvy Cat Realty is a relocation and investment agency that helps expats move to Portugal in a lifestyle way. We support in the whole country according to your own needs. You don't have to know our country. We are not expecting expats to know our country. You come to us, you tell us what your needs are, and we will help you find the best location to match them and also the best property. We also work from an ethical, cultural perspective, and one of our goals is to avoid the prices inflating due to the lack of knowledge and transparency, so that our clients end up making a good purchase and the locals are helped by avoiding the price inflation. If this makes sense to you, do feel free to reach out and check our services in www.savvycatrealty.com. So going into today's topic, the city of Lagos in the Algarve. The Algarve, as you probably know, is the most touristic and popular region in Portugal when it comes to summer destination. And it is a gorgeous sea landscape with these gorgeous cliffside views. And one of the most renowned cliffside views is actually in Lagos, which is Ponta da Piedade, that is quite known. You can go all the way down to the cliffside. There's even a little coffee shop there. And then you have this little cave that has kind of a window. So it is a very, very Instagrammable and popular place. But on top of that, Lagos truly is one of the most beautiful cities in the Algarve. And it also is full of history. So Lagos is, in my opinion, one of my favorite cities exactly because it retains its history. You will still find in the historic center of Lagos a lot of Moorish inspiration construction. For those of you who don't know, the south of the Algarve belonged to the Moorish, and one of the reasons Portugal gained its independence and our first king got the right to become independent was exactly by expelling the Moorish from the south of the Algarve. However, there is still a lot of influences there in the architecture. You can still find some forts, some castles with Moorish inspiration in the Algarve and in Lagos. And Lagos was also one of the biggest trade spots and ports during the discovery era of Portugal, which, as you probably know, was when Portugal became a very powerful country in the world through the discoveries. In that time, Lagos was one of the main ports, and therefore it still retains a very strong nautical history and a very popular marina, and also some not so good traits from this period, such as the remains of the slave market, which is of course long closed and now used as a cultural center. I would say that Lagos has a very good balance of history and picturesque and being a beautiful city and still having a lot of modern amenities. You kind of have it divided into sides. You have the cliffside side where you have Ponta da Piedade and Praia de Dona Ana, which you have this typical cliffside sea view. And then towards the other side, you have Meia Praia. It's a very long stretch of a completely flat white sand beach. So you have both things. And this has made Lagos one of the most popular retirement destinations in the Algarve. And like I was saying, you do have this traditional side in the historic center, and you also have a lot of new construction happening around it, especially towards the Meia Praia side and in the surroundings outside of the historic city. So you have a bit of everything, and it is extremely popular as a retirement destination and also as a digital nomad destination. It is actually a curious fact that Lagos rose drastically in interest during 2021, so just after COVID. I believe and this is kind of speculation on my part, but I believe the whole pandemic and the increase of digital positions being caused during this period made Lagos a very, very popular choice because it's a gorgeous place to live in if you have digital income. Because that's generally one of the biggest downsides of the Algarve, is exactly that the job market is very tied to tourism and very seasonal. So it's very hard to find long-term stable jobs in the Algarve, especially outside of the tourism industry. And the big majority of them on the tourism industry are extremely seasonal. So during the pandemic, the rise in digital nomads kind of made Lagos a hotspot for digital nomads, and it rose very drastically in popularity and in prices, which we all know, pros and cons, supply and demand. But currently, Lagos is one of the most expensive cities in the Algarve, having an average sale price of 4,000 euros per square meter and an average rent price of 15 euros per square meter. Do keep in mind that Lagos, like I was saying, like most of the Algarve, despite still having a lot of all year round life, it's also still very seasonal. You will still feel a very drastic difference if you go there. Let's say now, we are currently in the beginning of March, and Lagos will be quite quiet. It's actually much better now than it was 10 years ago, because 10 years ago, if you went down there this time, it would be very, very, very quiet. But now it still has, also still has a lot of all year round life. There's a lot of things that will be closed, especially hotels and mostly touristic businesses. But there is also a lot of life all year round. And like I said, it became a very popular destination, especially for retirement and digital nomads. So you do have a lot of commerce oriented towards these demographics. And that's another interesting thing to look at in the season of Lagos, the demographics. Lagos is currently one of the cities with the highest expat presence in Portugal, and it's somewhere between 35 and 40%. I went and checked the report from the City Hall from last year, from 2 years ago actually, 2023. But the data on it was from 2020, saying that 38% of the residents, and this is measured by people with a residence permit living in Lagos. So 38% of the population are expats, and the majority of them are British, and the second biggest nationality is Brazilians. So you can easily say that there's a very, very high density of expat population in the city of Lagos. And the demographics are definitely leaning towards retirement and higher age groups at the moment, but they are still fairly balanced out. Although it's, like I was saying, a very popular retirement destination, it also became a very popular digital nomad destination. There was a whole controversy last year, exactly because the digital nomad organization that got its headquarters in the city of Lagos launched an article saying exactly that Lagos and Portugal were no longer affordable. And this may be true, it depends to where you compare it to, but definitely Lagos and Lisbon are not cheap cities. They are amazing cities to live in with amazing quality of life that I highly recommend going there if you enjoy a city that has a balance of culture, gorgeous sea landscape, if you enjoy living near the sea, and still have culture around you and over 300 days of sunlight. Lagos is an amazing choice. You just need to have to afford it. One of the things to mention when you are considering living in the Algarve, and Lagos is of course included in this, is public transportation. Public transportation is very limited in the Algarve. You will have the bus that transports you from city to city and to go outside the city. And you have the regional train line that goes every hour, but it tends to be late and have problems, and well, it's slow. And you have buses inside the city, but they are also not known for their punctuality. So generally, the Algarve, and Lagos included, is a place where I do not recommend living without a car at all. When it comes to neighborhoods, generally Lagos is extremely safe. It doesn't really have bad neighborhoods. It's just a matter of accessibility and location. You have the historic center, that it's curiously not the most expensive area. The most expensive area is actually the Meia Praia side, where you have newer builds and a more modern side of town. And towards the other side, that is actually kind of outside of the city, but still within the area, would be Praia da Luz side, that has developing a lot lately. And it is definitely possible to live here without a car. In the historic center, you will have the markets, and you can walk everywhere, and it's good weather and so on. But whenever you want to go a bit further away or outside the town, do keep in mind that public transportation is very limiting. And you do have different types of neighborhoods. You will have the villa areas, then you will have the apartment areas. But generally, Lagos is not a city where you will have a lot of high rises. And that, in my opinion, also keeps the charm of the city and keeps it unique. The marina area is also quite expensive, as of course near where all the marina activities and nautical activities are, and you have a lot of excursions and boat trips that start from this area, and you also have a lot of touristic restaurants in this area. I personally don't really recommend those as the best restaurants in town. I would say those are touristic ones. But yes, overall, Lagos is very safe. I would recommend having a car, but it's not impossible to live without one. So overall, Lagos is definitely a beautiful city that even if you don't want to go there to live, I highly recommend at least visiting. It still suffers a bit from seasonality, but it's definitely not one of the worst in the Algarve. The demographics are leaning towards retirement, but it still has a lot of young life, and it actually still has a lot of popular bars. You have this area in the historic center that it's known for its quirky bars, and people from all over the Algarve go there every now and again. You will feel a lot of the tourism seasonality. You have a lot of hotels and resorts on the Lagos area, and it gets very, very crowded during the summer months. Usually the most high season is between June and August, but things are starting to distribute a bit. If you don't want to go there in a very, very chaotic time, I would recommend end of May, early June, or mid-late September. You will still have really good weather, and things will be a lot calmer than during July and August. But overall, Lagos is an amazing city to live in that I highly recommend. And it's probably one of the cities with the most cultural activity in the Algarve. While I was living in the Algarve, there is actually one of the things I felt the most is that it was very tied to tourism with very little all-round cultural activity. I would say that Lagos is one of the best cities in that regard. It has a lot of things going on. It has plays, it has museums, it has activities, concerts, and a lot of things happening all year round for the resident community. So if Lagos is a place that you found interesting and that you would consider for your new residence, feel free to reach out to us. We work with both rentals and purchases, and you can contact us directly on contact at savvycatrealty.com. We work as buyer agents and are completely on the buyer side. We get everything checked both on the rental and on the sale, and make all the contacts and negotiations in your behalf. So If this was helpful, I hope that you enjoyed. We release new videos every week, so feel free to subscribe if you found this useful. We also have a blog on our website with a lot of useful information that you can check for free, and also our workbook that gives you a guided way to plan your move to Portugal. So I hope that you enjoyed this, and I hope to see you all again next week.